This past episode of the Book of Boba Fett got me really excited because we almost had it happen. It almost happened. Star Wars is cool, right? I think we can all agree Star Wars is pretty cool. The Book of Boba Fett is pretty cool. But just imagine how much cooler it would be if everybody was a lizard. And we got a lizard in this episode, and unfortunately, there was not a mass transformation that turned everybody into lizards. I'm just as disappointed as you are. I know we all wanted to see that. That's the direction we all want Star Wars to go. And it just didn't happen. So, Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 2 is 0 out of 10 because nobody turned into a lizard. Hey, everybody. What is going on? Welcome back to another episode of Back to Jakku. Excuse me. I'm a little sick recording this episode, so if my voice sounds a little bit off, that's why. Hopefully it's not COVID, because COVID's kind of going around like crazy right now, but I've just been a little congested lately and been feeling kind of lightheaded all day today, so that probably isn't great, but maybe I should get COVID tested. I don't know. Hopefully it's not. Anyway, Book of Boba Fett Chapter 2 is out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that little intro. If you listened to last week's Boba Fett podcast episode, I said that I would work on my bits to open each episode with. And hopefully that bit satisfies you and lives up to your standards for Kev's podcast bits. So hopefully that was enjoyable. I think it was pretty good. I had another one in mind, the first one that came to mind, but I'll talk about that a little bit later in this episode. But I hopefully we started this episode out good. So, with that being said, let's get into it. For those of you who might be tuning into this series for the first time, welcome. This is just where I do a quick little recap and just give my thoughts on each episode of the Book of Boba Fett as they come out. Because, I've been a Boba Fett fanboy my entire life, and I can't just keep my thoughts to myself. So I need to have an outlet to just ramble on about the show. And Back to Jakku is my outlet. So with that being said, let's get right into it. I really liked this episode, Chapter 2 of Book of Boba Fett. And I've seen it twice. I watched it the first thing in the morning when I woke up. Was going to stay up till 3 in the morning last night to watch it, but I took some NyQuil, and that just knocked me out. So unfortunately, I did not make it up till 3 a.m. to watch the episode when it released. But I did watch it this morning, and I thought it was good on my first watch. I really liked it on my first watch. But then when I rewatched it again a second time a little later on in the day, I really enjoyed this episode. The runtime, it was a long episode, and I appreciate that a lot. I hope that more episodes are at this length, because the first episode did feel really short. So it was good to have like a fully 40-ish minute episode or whatever it was. Excuse me. So runtime was very happy with that. So we start out with Fennec bringing in the prisoner of the Night Watch, I believe is what their name was. And it kind of plays out, I guess, the way you think it would play out. I loved how they drop him into the Rancor pit, and he's panicking because he thinks he's about to get eaten by a Rancor, so he spills the beans. It turns out there's no Rancor in there. I thought for a split second, as that Rancor door was going to open, I'm like, what if we see, what was the Rancor's name from the Bad Batch? Moochie? I think it was Moochie. What if we see a grown-up Moochie living in Jabba's palace, or Boba's palace, I guess now. But there was no Rancor. It was just a prank, bro. So they bring him to the mayor office. And the guy working the front desk at the mayor's office looks like the most indie rock band dude ever. I imagine him playing some super small club shows, just jamming out with his Fender Telecaster, playing some indie music. You could not tell me that dude does not look like he plays indie music. Just the long hair and the mustache, he fits the bill for that look. So they go to the mayor, who's the Ithorian, who sounds kind of like Pedro Pascal, and I think we all kind of thought that Din would show up in some capacity, because it did kind of sound like him, but that's not the case, obviously. So the Night Watch dude or whatever gets shot, and then they tell him to go to the sanctuary, the cantina place. So they go there, and they meet with the lady who runs that place, and she's all tense and everything. And it's because the Hutts are back in town. The twins, cousins of Jabba, came to kind of reclaim what was theirs. But obviously, Boba Fett's in town, and he's not gonna have any of that. So they pull up on their litter with being carried around, and so there's a confrontation, and then oh my gosh, I don't know the Wookiee's name, Cran something. He's from the comics. I didn't know who he was until this morning. But man, what a beast. That dude is so intimidating, so scary. I would not want to mess with him. Apparently, he's pretty serious, and apparently he's like fought Obi-Wan or something and lived to tell the tale. So that's one scary looking Wookiee that you would not want to get on the bad side of. So then they go back to the palace. This kind of tension with the Hutts is going to be resolved at a later time, and we cut back to another flashback, and then that's how the rest of the episode goes, of Boba with the Tuskens, which was by far my favorite part of the episode. Seeing kind of how he lives and coexists with the Tusken Raiders is really cool and really fascinating. And seeing how the Tuskens have things to teach Boba. Like, they teach him how to fight with a gaffy stick, and they teach him how to make a gaffy stick at the end of the episode. Probably should have said spoilers, but you guys know. And it was just really cool to see how Boba was learning from the Tusken Raiders, but then also Boba was teaching things to the Tusken Raiders. So it's kind of like a mutual relationship between them, because Boba has things to offer to them with training and learning these new skills, like how to ride a speeder bike. But then again, the Tuskens have things to teach him, like how to fight with a gaffy stick and kind of how to live in the Tusken culture, which is really cool to see. And just the whole fleshing out the Tusken Raiders as like people and as like actual characters is super cool, because we got a little bit of that in The Mandalorian, but we're really getting into that now in the Book of Boba Fett. And it's so awesome to see, because before, Mando, the Tuskens, all we've known of the Tuskens is they're just Tusken Raiders. They're just the sand people that live on Tatooine that you don't want to mess with and that are dangerous and stuff. But now we're really fleshing them out, and we're really seeing how they operate and, what their worldview is, and everything, and how there's different tribes of Tusken Raiders with different ideologies who operate different ways, because the tribe that Boba is with stays hidden and they don't really reveal themselves. But then there's other tribes of Tusken Raiders that have to kill to survive, and it's really interesting to see the dynamic and just how the Tusken Raider culture is. Just so cool to see. I'm super glad that this show is really diving into something like that, and it's really kind of fleshing out just the world of Star Wars. And that's something I think this show is doing a really good job of. Is it's very story driven and very world buildy, and we're only in episode 2, so I'm sure there's plenty more to come. And it's just so good. It's just so good. And the critics, the people who are complaining about this show, have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. I just don't see how you could criticize this show. It's really kind of nuanced, I think, and it's got a lot to say and a lot to tell in a way that's very captivating and very fun. This is a fun show. This last episode, this episode 2, oh my gosh, what fun Star Wars. It was just so good. The train action heist, like, that was awesome to see. Just everything in this episode was awesome to see, and I'm just, oh my gosh, I love this show. I love it so much. But the bit that I was gonna start the episode out with is when Boba was teaching the Tuskens how to ride the speeder bikes. Not this past summer, but the summer before, I learned how to ride a motorcycle, and I went to this thing called an MSF training class, which MSF stands for Motorcycle Safety Foundation. I think I have the book, the MSF guide, next to me somewhere. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Oh yeah, I do. Yep, this is it. Motorcycle Safety Foundation Basic Rider Course. That's what I did. And I was gonna say at the beginning of the episode something along the lines of, I enjoyed my time at my MSF's basic rider course, training class, but I would have enjoyed it a lot more if Boba Fett was my rider coach. Um, because that was my first thought when I was watching that little montage of them training on the speeder bikes. Was this looks an awful lot like what my motorcycle safety class looked like how he's kind of guiding everybody on the bikes, and he gets on the bike first to show them, like, okay, here's how you go and here's how you stop. And because obviously that's what happened at like an actual motorcycle class, is the instructor will get on the bike and be like, okay, here's the throttle, here's the clutch, this is the gear switch thing, and then here's the brake, and kind of going over all the parts of the bike. And I'm like, this is an MSF class in Star Wars. This is an MSF basic rider course in Star Wars, and I love that. I love that. I love that so much. Oh, that just brought a big smile on my face. Oh, just so good to see. And then the train heist did not disappoint with the pikes. Cool to see live action pikes again. Very cool. We're getting a lot of really neat alien species in this show, which is just, again, cool to see. But you know what would make it cooler? If they were all lizards. I'm just saying. So then, after they complete the train heist, they let all the pikes go. They spare their lives, and Boba kind of has that speech with the leader, and it's again showing his honor and showing his new kind of way of respect, and being like, hey, we're gonna do things my way, and my way, is a little more civilized than what you might think, but don't mess with me because I can still, mess you up. And it's just Boba's honor code and just his moral, just the way he is super cool to see, and I'm really glad that we're exploring that in this show. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. I just love it. I love everything about this show. Can you guys tell? Probably. So then they go back to the Tusken camp, and we get the lizard. So I think it's hard to pick a favorite part of this episode, whether it be the rider course part or when they gift Boba the lizard. And first of all, he's very confused on why he's being given a gift again, because I don't think he expects much from the Tuskens. I think he's just grateful that they're kind of taking him on, even though they had him prisoner for a little bit, but I don't think he cares anymore. So they give him this lizard, and he goes, "A lizard? Thank you. I will let it guide me." Oh my gosh. And it was great. It was great. And then they throw some spice in his face, and then the lizard crawls up his nose. If you would have told me in my lifetime I'd see a lizard go up the nostril of Boba Fett, I don't think I would ever believe you. But it happened. It's something I've seen with my own two eyes. A lizard entering the nostrils of my favorite bounty hunter. So that was cool. So then he goes on this total spice stream. And gets like swallowed up by this tree, but he's seeing it as like the Sarlacc, and you get to see more of the return of Jedi armor, which I love. And then you see a young Daniel Logan, a young Boba Fett in a flashback on Kamino watching the Slave One take off. Oh, so good, so good. But then he comes back with the stick that he's going to make his gaffy stick out of. And I thought that was really cool. That reminded me of The Gathering from the Clone Wars, kind of how the young Jedi have to go into the ice cave to find their kyber crystal. I guess this was the Tusken Raiders' kind of way of finding the right branch to make their own gaffy sticks out of, which was cool. And then you see, the construction of his gaffy stick, and then he's got his gaffy stick, and then they're gathered around the campfire, and they do that little ritual, I guess you would call it, with all of them and their gaffy sticks, and then that's how the episode ends. And it was so good. This episode was so good. It's what I really just kind of want from Star Wars at the moment. It's just fun, but at the same time, it's really kind of focused, and it's very story driven, and it's got a lot of heart, I think. It's showing that even like our preconceived notions of like Tusken Raiders and stuff, it's like, well, we don't know everything, right? And it's really showing honor too with Boba Fett and the Tuskens, and respect. Respect is another huge theme of this show. Obviously, that's like the tagline is Jabba ruled with fear, I intend to rule with respect. And we see that respect with Boba basically in every interaction that he has with everybody in the show, um, even in the present day with all the people in Mos Espa. But we really see that respect with the Tuskens and kind of how he's willing to learn from them, and he's also willing to teach them, and it's kind of this mutual beneficial relationship between them, and it's just awesome. It's just so cool to see. I will say one thing, but now that I've kind of talked about it for a little bit, I don't know if I truly mean this anymore. But I guess I'm not a huge fan of oh, I don't know. Here's how I'm going to phrase this. I hope we focus uh less on flashbacks going forward. Because now I'm going to backtrack on this in a second, but this is like before I started recording, this is what I was going to say. I hope we focus less on flashbacks moving forward because I'm more interested in the present day storyline, and yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there, and I really want to see what happens there rather than spending all of the time in the flashbacks. But then again, now after I've been talking about it and kind of thinking about Boba Fett's past is not. How do I want to phrase this? Sorry, talking is hard sometimes, and sometimes you just get a little lost on your words, and that's where I am right now. Boba Fett's past is just as important, if not more important, kind of than his future and like than his current day. I'm not making any sense right now, but basically what I'm saying is it's really important to understand the events that Boba Fett went through to get him to the point where he is now. And I think seeing this relationship with the Tuskens is super important and super necessary for the story. So I'm not going to complain about how much time we spend in the flashbacks. But I will be interested to see how much they rely on flashbacks going forward, because I do think there's a good present day story to be told. But other than that, I really have no criticisms with this show. It's what I want from Star Wars. It's Boba Fett, and I don't think there's anything this show can do to disappoint me. The music in this show, so good. Ludwig G, can't pronounce his last name. He doesn't miss. Banger after banger. The Book of Boba Fett theme, top tier. Undoubtedly, I think. But yeah, I think that's all my thoughts on this episode. I don't think I missed anything. We're already at 17 minutes on the recording here. That was way longer than I thought I was going to go. I'm going to try and keep these under 10 minutes from now on, but we'll see if that happens. Yeah. I also didn't think of my closing hashtag. But anyway, we'll make that up on the spot. So I think that's going to do it. I love Chapter 2 of the Book of Boba Fett. I love the show, and I'm so excited to see where we go from here. So what do you guys think of the episode? Let me know in the comments down below on YouTube. And also, if you're on YouTube and you made it this far in the episode, the closing hashtag for this one is going to be hashtag... it's got to be something about lizards, right? It has to be something about lizards. I think that's what I'm going to make the thumbnail is something with a lizard. Hashtag lizards are cool. Yeah, that will work. Hashtag lizards are cool. Down below in the YouTube comments if you made it this far. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of my Boba Recap. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.